So sort of like we said with hope last week, that like hope is both a gift given to us from God and then a calling, something that we have to like go out and do. I think peace is similar, right? It's a gift that we get from God. God says, here's some peace. Like you get that in your heart, and now go and live that out in your relationships. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Trinity Talks. My name is Kyla.
I'm Britton.
Raya.
And I am Bill.
And we are here to continue chatting about Advent, this season that prepares us to celebrate Christmas. And today we are lighting 2 candles, 1, 2 on our table here. So the first candle we talked about last week is the candle of hope. The second candle is the candle of peace. Peace is nice. I think we would all love some peace. Yeah, but just sort of as a starter, when you hear the word peace, what comes to mind for you? Stillness. Okay. Yes. Very chill.
Yeah.
Yep. Calmness.
Yeah.
Quiet.
Yeah.
Tranquility.
Yes. Things that, like I said, I think we could all use a little more of that.
Yeah. Peace and
lives.
quiet.
Yes. Yes.
Mixed together.
Often come together.
Beautiful
Peace and
mix.
quiet.
Yes. So, dads are hard to buy Christmas presents for. And my dad, every year when I'm like, hey, Dad, what do you want for Christmas? He says, I would like peace on earth.
Okay.
And this is a great idea. I unfortunately cannot order it from Amazon.
It's not offered?
No, it is not. But yeah, peace. It's something I think we're all hoping for, and something that sounds really nice, but is a little elusive, maybe. I don't know. Yeah. So peace as this like stillness and calmness is, when we think about peace in a Christian context, we think about, okay, God gives us peace. Is that what we're talking about? Is it this sense of stillness and calmness? Is it something different than that?
I think most of the time when we think of peace, we don't actually think of the definition of peace. We think of what peace isn't, or what the opposite of peace is. I think we're more familiar or comfortable with war, understanding war, and then when we say peace, we talk about peace is the absence of war. I mean, we don't like war. We would, and when war ends, we have peace. Right. But I think beyond that, I don't think that there's a. I mean, it's a goal.
Sure.
To have peace and to be peaceful, but I think we're, as a culture, as a people, I think we're kind of stuck in the chaotic. I think maybe we like I mean, not like war, but just the chaos of that, and maybe not as familiar or as comfortable with peace, even though it's something that we say we want.
Sure. Yeah, we often, I think, define peace as like what it's not. Yeah. To say like, okay, we don't want war, we don't want yelling, we don't want noise and chaos.
So what is peace?
But what is peace? Right. Yeah.
Yeah. The definition, you're right. The definition was, or is, where was it? Oh, I had it. Yeah. A state or period in which there is no war, or war has ended. And like the Christian context of that, like, I think I struggle with that. Like especially today, and like seeing how like everyone's trying to close off wars and stop them, which I think is a good thing. For sure. But as soon as a war ends, doesn't mean that there's peace. Right. And I don't think that's like, it is the stopping of something, the stopping of some form of injustice, or the stopping of violence doesn't automatically create, it can create the conditions for peace to be made.
On the road to peace. Yes.
It's a pathway. It's definitely needed, but the stopping of something, the stopping of a negative doesn't automatically create a positive. Sure. There's, and I think the Christian sense, there is something more that has to happen that God calls us into and calls us to experience in order for that peace to happen. So I would tell Oxford Dictionary, maybe you need to add a couple more sentences.
Come up with a more positive definition of peace as opposed to what it's not.
Right. Yeah.
No, I also think like while you guys were talking about that, I realized like a lot of like the marketing tactics that we see like on advertisements and stuff is like they're always trying to market peace through the chaos. Like, oh, if you see an advertisement for a coffee, right? Then they're like, oh, early morning coffee, see the sunrise, right?
Yes, it's just a lovely, gentle experience.
Yeah.
But it's always a lure. It's never achievable. I
Exactly.
mean, the idea, the commercialization of peace is always something that is almost attainable. You know,
Right.
If you get if you have that coffee, then yes, then maybe you can get peace. If you have this, if you get this, if you buy this,
Yeah.
then
Right.
And it's always something lacking externally. That will, in a consumerism culture, that will be, that's the answer, right? If you only get this, then you can maybe achieve peace.
Exactly.
I would even say like it's a distraction. And like we're so hungry for peace. We're so hungry for almost like escapism from what we see in this world, that some of that marketing is just pushing something that can like subside or get us to ignore the chaos that we're experiencing today. Like, I think there's many things that we do, especially in the consumerism, that is like trying to fill a void, trying to create conditions for peace. But really what it's doing is just ignoring the real problems that is preventing peace from being possible.
Yeah.
And I think consumerism does a lot of that. Like people go to the mall to buy things, not necessarily because they need anything, but because they're looking to, like, I think there's a study that shows like you buy like 2-3 things and like you start to, something happens in your body, you start to feel
good.
Yeah.
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 And I can
Totally
say that,
retail
that's
therapy.
true. When I buy a pair of Nikes, I feel better about myself.
Because you're a person wearing Nikes now. And that's pretty cool.
But is it really like after I see that bill that I'm back to like where I was before? I'm like, oh, should I really have done this?
Right.
And all the things that I was trying to fill, I haven't actually done those things. So yeah, I think it's more, I think we assume, or we like to act like things that are peaceful is what we assume is peaceful is actually, I think it's just us avoiding the deeper issues that we have within our world.
Yeah.
Like coffee masks tiredness, right? Like you take caffeine to kind of boost your energy.
Yes, I did that this morning.
Same. I'm still tired. Just not for now.
Yeah, for sure.
I think we often think that peace is something that we can achieve for ourselves, but the Bible tells us it's a gift.
Right.
Right. And I think part of the reason that we're even in our conversation here and as a larger people where we have a problem defining peace is because I think it's indefinable. It's in a certain way. It is hard to describe. It's unknowable. And the Bible says that you'll be given a peace that is beyond understanding.
Right.
Right. We're not meant to get it. It's a gift from God. It's the peace of Christ. And I think as a gift, it's something that we have for ourselves. It becomes a state of our being. And although we can't get it ourselves, I think it's not only a gift, but it's also a discipline. So I think once we have peace, right, given to us by Christ, then we can work on growing it and building it up within ourselves. It's like a muscle, right?
Sure.
The same way our muscles, we didn't get our muscles. Our muscles are gifts.
Sure.
But we can through discipline and through hard work, working out, we can grow our muscles, strengthen our muscles. And so I think in the same way, we can also strengthen our sense of peace, not only within ourselves, but radiating that peace in the larger community. So I think, while it is a gift from God, I think peace can also be a flex.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like the kids say.
Yeah.
So that and be Christ to others.
Sure.
That way, right?
Yeah. I think so. There's a couple of things that come to mind for me when I think about peace and trying to figure out what it is. And one is the Hebrew word shalom, which gets translated as peace. But one of the reasons that I love that word is because it just has so many other meanings sort of layered in it. So it's like peace, but it's also a sense of wholeness, a sense of being complete and justice, and like things are set right.
Yes.
Right. And that, I think, gives us a positive vision of, okay, what we're working for is not just no conflict. What we're working for is a sense of wholeness,
Right.
Yeah.
which makes it harder,
Yeah.
but at least gives me a vision of like, okay, well, I'm not just trying to stop something. I'm trying to like put something better and deeper and more meaningful in its
Yeah.
place.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other passage that comes to mind for me, especially during Advent, when we talk about peace, is in Isaiah chapter 9. And so that's the section where, the Christmassy part that we always talk about is, for to us a child is born, to us a son is given, the government will be on his shoulders. He will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. That's the Christmas part that we get to. But if we go a little bit before that, the reason that Isaiah is saying, for to us a child is born, like, so why do we care that this child is born? And he's saying the people who are walking in darkness have seen a great light. And then he says things like, people will rejoice before the Lord because the yoke that burdens them has been shattered. The bar across their shoulders, the rod of their oppressors, all of these things are gone. Every warrior's boot that was used in battle and every garment rolled in blood will be destined for burning, will be fuel for the fire.
Ooh.
Right? All of that, all of those things that like were causing pain, were causing conflict, are just gone. Right? And that's the vision.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So just reflect on that. Like when you hear that, like what does that sort of bring up in you?
It's so I'm reading this.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it first. I just jumped to Revelations because Revelations 21 really echoes this promise and it shows it in its completeness. But as you were reading it, I started to see it through the lens of Jesus's contemporary audience, which they were reading this like every day and just waiting for this Messiah. And it's making me think about like everyone desires peace and we desire restoration. And I could see, and I'm tempted even now to read it through this like easy access or like a quick redemption narrative. Like when he says that the government will be on his shoulders and that yoke will come off of you. I can understand how they were waiting for a Messiah that would have had would have created change and freedom from oppression, like right in that moment.
Right, like big political change.
Because what they thought was Jesus was going to come and become a king on earth and just rip up the Roman government, and they would have reigned on earth in that moment, and that didn't happen. It didn't happen that way. There was something new that happened. There was something beautiful that happened. There was restoration in many ways, but it didn't happen in that moment. And yeah, I think like, as we were saying before, I think if peace is so like McDonald's to us and it's so like drive-through, like we could be so fixated on what happens now, but like the peace that passes understanding is something first that's really hard to comprehend. And it's, I think Christianity, the way that we should see peace is like we're looking forward, we're looking for that renewal, and not be tempted by the easy things that could come now, like the quick fix. But I'm reading it and I'm like, yeah, I get it. I get why they thought that was going to happen in that moment.
Right.
Because if your burden is so, like your yoke is so heavy, like of course you want that simple, not simple, but you want something fixed in this moment. And yeah, that's really hard to wrestle with, but I'll stop there.
Yeah. And it's just like, it creates this idea of a kind of peace that just quickly overthrows enemies. Right. And like, I wonder like how that fits in with this concept of peace. Like, is Jesus on this side of like, okay, we're creating peace that just like immediately discount some people, or is there like a redemptive element in there for those who were the oppressor? Right? Like, I think we can wrestle with like what that piece, how that all fits together too. I don't know.
It kind of reminds me of like the passage where all the disciples are on the boat and Jesus is like sleeping in the boat.
Yeah.
He's like taking a nap and it's like a wild storm and everything. And everyone's like, oh my God, we're going to die. Jesus, wake up, do something. Right?
Yeah.
And they're probably thinking, oh, he'll find a way to like kind of like rally them up and like get them out of the storm. But he's just like, be still. That's it. That's all you got to do.
Yeah.
And then everything calmed down. Right? So like how you were saying in simple terms, it's just that we're expecting an escape route really quick fix, right? But Jesus is like, even amongst that storm, you can literally walk on that water, or we can part that sea.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And Jesus will calm the storm, right?
Yeah, yeah.
The promise is not to leave you in the disaster. The
Yeah.
promise is to trust and to wait.
Yeah.
And that brings us back to that whole Advent, right? Like that waiting and that longing, but also in the knowing that it will come.
Right.
Yeah.
For sure.
I think our human sense of peace is very fragile, right? I think it takes one person to start a war, to create chaos amongst a group of people, but really it takes everyone to create peace, right? When one person doesn't, you don't have peace, at least not in a complete sense. And that's why peace talks are so tough.
Yeah. Sure.
It's easy to start a war. It's a lot harder to start peace.
Yep.
But in the Christian sense that you were talking about, we were talking about Jesus as the Prince of Peace. I think there is a much more full and complete and tangible sense. I kind of think of it as like a heavy weighted blanket. Right, and the peace of God is kind of like that weighted blanket on conflict and injustice, whereas it's not dependent on us. It's external. It's spiritual and divine, and it comes down, and you feel the effect of that. I think the other thing about kind of peace, the Prince of Peace coming to a world of chaos and unrest, is that our sense of peace and war is that it has to be kind of one or the other, and I think there is a godly peace that resides in the chaos. I think that for me that represents Jesus coming into the world, right?
Sure.
Being that Prince of Peace in a world of in a chaotic and unjust world, and I think as Christians, I mean, as being gifted with peace, then we are Jesus in the world. And I think that we are called also to be peace in a chaotic and unjust world. And that's our role. That's our task to go out and just to emulate or resonate God's peace in and through us. And I think just in terms of the kind of the work that I've done in the past, and I'm training to become a deacon, and then Lord willing, when I become a deacon, a lot of my interest and my role is to do it myself, but to be encouraging people to go out into the community and to be Christ in the world, and I think a lot of that is about extending that sense of peace. That I mean, you probably have had it happen to you. It's happened to a lot of people where they come up to you and go, why are you different than everybody else? Yeah. Right? And I think people get a sense of that. And I think one of the reasons why they sense that from Christians is when they have a mature faith and they have an attitude of, among other things, peace, and then that makes a difference around them, and people see that. That's whether that's the light or the however you want to describe it. But that for this conversation, we're talking about being peaceful as a people, and emanating that sense of peace. It's not from us, but it's just flows through God, and people are drawn to that, and they may not understand it, but they want to know, and sometimes they ask, why are you different? Like, all this stuff is happening in the world, and you seem calm, you seem relaxed, you seem at peace. Why are you at peace when all this stuff is going on?
Yeah, as you were talking there, I was sort of thinking about, okay, so then what does it mean to be someone who is at peace and someone who carries peace into the world and into our relationships? Because I think one of the temptations that I sometimes face is to conflate peace and conflict avoidance, and to say that, okay, in order to be a peaceful person in the world, I always need to just be polite and non-offensive.
Right.
Right? And I think that's part of it. I think that there are moments where we're called to just let that be. But I think that if we're talking about a deeper kind of peace, there are going to be moments where me being a person of peace in the world is going to be uncomfortable for myself and maybe for the other person, right? If I'm sort of coming up against their false sense of peace or my false sense of peace.
I'm remembering, so I took this class in undergrad, was conflict resolution course. And my professor, he made us memorize the prayer of Francis of Assisi, which I don't remember off the top of my head totally anymore. So sorry, Dr. Boyce. But it still comes back to me, and it was making me, when you were speaking, I started thinking about it, and it says, Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. And I think the second part, I won't read the whole thing, but, O divine master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, and to be loved as to love. And I think the part that is, that what it calls me to think of is peace. I think that conflict avoidant part is like us trying to create that sense of peace for ourselves. And I think it comes from, like, humans, I think, naturally are very selfish. We're trying to survive. And we can kind of try and, like, if I can protect myself, then I'll be fine. And I think sometimes that makes us, like, flip into, like, this victim mode where, like, one, we can avoid. Two, only bad things can happen to me. And I could do no wrong. But what this prayer, I think, calls us to remember is that peace is active. As Christians, we're also called to share that peace. And peace also calls us into right relationship, and calls us to seek to end the things where we were participating in it, where we have created senses of unpeace and injustice. Like, we need to unpeace. That's not a word.
That was good.
Yeah, well, maybe Oxford, add that one. Where we have created conditions for violence or for harm. It's our responsibility to make those things right.
Right.
And so, yeah, like, it's not just me sitting in a corner saying, well, I wasn't participating in that.
Right.
But to be very involved in creating those conditions, calling things out, naming, helping people when I can, you have to be an instrument. Like, I'm willing to be used, God. And whether it's uncomfortable for me or it's comforting, I need to be participating in that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely an attitude check, I think. Because, like, while you were saying what's it called, the prayer?
Yeah, prayer of Francis of Assisi. It's a peacemaker prayer.
The peacemaker prayer, yeah. So when you were saying that, and then we were also kept, referencing to Philippians, saying about the peace that surpasses all understanding, right? This is actually the scripture that I've been kind of sort of practicing at work, because, like, it's super fast paced. I make a lot of mistakes. I'm a trainee, right? And so I looked at the verse before that. So it's Philippians chapter 4, verses 6 to 7. So 6 starts going, do not be anxious over anything, but by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving. Now that's an attitude check, because a lot of us are like, oh my gosh, I want to bring my request to God and, like, get it solved. But we don't realize most of it is to be grateful for what we have and actually serve in those fields. Right? And so, so then the rest goes like, with thanksgivings, bring your request to God, so that the peace that surpasses all understanding, right, protects your mind and your heart in Christ Jesus. And I was like, once I started, like, meditating on that and trying to practice that at workplace, I was like, this is like flipping the switch on my attitude for everything that I do. Right? And that's how we can do everything for the glory of God.
Right.
Right? I feel like that's like basically the solution, the attitude check, and then being able to serve.
I like the idea that peace is protective,
Yeah.
defensive. It's and it's also active, right?
Yeah.
When you read through the prayer of Saint Francis, it is replacing the negative with the positive. So
Yeah.
it's not just the cessation of negative things, war and violence and injustice and all that, but it's also to put in its place all the positive things.
Yeah.
And love and hope and serving others and all that kind of stuff. So peace isn't just the stopping war, but it is creating the environment where people can live together.
Sure.
In a much more positive way.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think like I'm just sort of going back to like where we started this conversation in talking about, peace is the thing that we all desire. And like the world knows that. Everybody knows. The marketing knows that we all want this sense of peace. But are we willing to put in the hard work to get there? I think is a question, right? And are we willing to say that maybe the peace that we actually want looks different than the peace that we think we want? Like I might think that I want peace, but if peace, like real peace, is going to come at a cost where like maybe it means that like I need to look at some of my areas of privilege and like divest myself of that so that other people can experience peace.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's hard.
That's powerful.
Yeah. Do I want peace, or do I want people to stop calling me out or being annoying?
Yeah.
Just be silent so I don't have to hear all the problems. Which it's true. Yeah.
Going back to the beginning to your dads are hard to buy for.
Yes.
And you said that your dad's response was, what he wanted was peace in the world.
Yes.
I was very impressed with that answer.
Yes.
Because it's so altruistic, right? I mean, I think for a lot of people, when we wish for peace, we want the peace and quiet that is just for us.
Sure.
Right? I mean, we want to be, leave me alone. I have visions of like, have someone like soaking in the tub,
Right.
with some
Yes,
candles.
I want peace. I want a
and
day off.
a glass of wine and stuff. Just don't bother me for half an hour. I just need some peace and quiet, right? It's so internal. It's so, greedy. Right, in a sense, that kind of peace, and where we kind of grab for it and we cling on to it, and we don't want to share it. We don't want anyone else to be part of that. But what your dad wanted was peace in the world, and I think that's a much more altruistic, is a much more kind of open and unselfish understanding and defining peace. That is, peace is just can't be one person.
Yeah.
Right. It needs to be shared and cultivated in a larger group, and grown and developed and cultivated. Yeah.
It's an action. It's a choice that we each make individually, but then joining all of those individual actions together, I think, right? Yeah.
And then it just turns into the gift of peace that it is.
Yeah. And I think sort of like we said with hope last week, that like hope is both a gift given to us from God and then a calling, something that we have to like go out and do. I think peace is similar, right? It's a gift that we get from God. God says, here's some peace. Like you get that in your heart, and now go and live that out in your relationships, right?
Yeah. Like I see it as like a kind of like echoing back to the passage that you were referencing, like this covering, but the covering, like protecting your heart, is not just for you, but it's so that you can be active in the world, so that you can share that experience with others, so that they can also protect their heart. Because the reality is we need it. The world hasn't just been hard now.
Right.
If we think about the conditions that Isaiah wrote that whole book on, like it's been hard. But the only way we can get through it, the only way that we can get that yoke removed and we can experience that freedom now, is by having that covering so that we can get to that promise, that ultimate promise that Christ has promised us, and that Christ will provide. Like the storm will end.
Yeah.
But until then, there's this promise that we have, this covering that we have that can get us through until it's ended.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the now. We get some of that, and the not yet. It's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Advent.
Yeah. Advent.
TM.
Well, the idea of peace is tied to Christmas quite a lot. I mean, like you read a passage from Isaiah that's read a lot this time of year because it points to Christ coming into the world, the Prince of Peace coming into a world of chaos. And I think so. Part of that is very intentional, but I think too we do yearn for peace, and the time of Christmas is a time for us to be kind of reflecting on that kind of stuff and working towards a better world. And I mean, you hear the stories of soldiers during war on Christmas Day, not fighting, but they coming together and sharing a Christmas meal together, and then next day the guns start blasting again. But but that one day, people can come together in peace because a shared meaning and understanding of what peace is during Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Just need to make that last
Right.
all year long.
Yeah.
If only the meal would there's some sort of conversation that happens within that, and they're like, you know what? Let's not do this tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is ironic because with most families is when they come together for a meal, that's when there is no peace. That's when the peace shatters.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Well, thank you so much, folks. I think this has been a really rich conversation to figure out not just what peace isn't, but what it is, and also then to challenge us to live that, and yes, to experience that as a gift from God, and to remember we get this, it's real, and it's hard, and we can go out and share that with other people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Thank you.
And thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Trinity Talks. I pray that your week is filled with moments of peace. And that whether that is challenging or whether that is joyful for you, that, you can just find that sense of peace that passes all understanding, that keeps your heart and mind now and in the days ahead. And we will see you again next week.